Have you ever, in a moment of just late night curiosity, Googled something like, how much should I have saved by age 40? And then you immediately slam your laptop shut in a fit of rage? Yeah, welcome to the club. The numbers you see online feel like they're written for a completely different species. They're either so low that they're useless, or they're so high you think it actually might be a typo for the national debt. Today I'm going to talk about exactly how much you really need in your 401k at different ages if your goal is to retire early. And I'm not talking about some mythical retire at 30 fantasy. I'm talking about realistic, achievable early retirement, say at age 56, 58, or maybe even the big 60. I'm going to show you the real-world numbers that high achievers should be aiming for, the powerful strategies they actually use to hit them, and this is the most important part, how to get your hands on that 401k money before you reach the age 59 and a half without the IRS sending you a very unpleasant letter and a bunch of penalties attached to it. And you'll definitely want to stick around until the end because I'm going to show you a ridiculously simple mental math trick that you can use to figure out your personal retirement target in under 30 seconds. No calculators, no spreadsheets, just your brain and some of the stuff that you learned in that one subject that gave you night sweats in high school, math. If you're new to this channel, my name is Cody Gunn. I'm a CFA charter holder and the founder of Arrowstone Wealth, where we help clients retire by optimizing their investments and minimizing their taxes. And with that, let's dive in. First, let's get on the same page. When I say early retirement, I don't necessarily mean you're 42 years old, permanently installed on a beach, and the biggest decision of your day is pina colada or margarita. Though, if that is your dream, I want you to know you have my full support, and you'd better send me some photos. But for most of the high-income professionals that I work with, doctors, lawyers, executives, early retirement means getting out of the full grind somewhere in your mid-50s or early 60s. It's about having freedom to travel, consult on maybe your own terms, spoil your grandkids, and maybe it's just not having to answer to anyone. But here's the rub. Retiring at, say, 57 instead of 67 completely changes the math. It's not a small tweak. It is a completely different game. Why? 3 huge reasons. First, at the risk of stating the obvious, you have more years to fund without a paycheck. A 30-year retirement is very different than a 40-year retirement. Second, you have those really tricky bridge years before the government programs kick in. You've got to fund your own healthcare before Medicare kicks in at 65. And you have to wait until your Social Security benefits also kick in. Third, and this is the one that trips people up, you have less time to recover if a market throws a tantrum right after you retire. Let's just be honest. If you started this journey in September 2007, you got to watch your investments go down for the next 2 years and the market got cut in half. Not a great start. And because I started my career during that time, I had a front row seat to all of that. This is a nasty little thing called sequence of returns risk. Imagine starting a marathon with one shoe. Retiring into a bear market is the financial equivalent, and it can really cripple you from the start. This is why the age-old tired rule of thumb, you need 10 times your salary by 67, is basically useless for you. For early retirees, you need more and you need it faster. Okay, but before we get into your personal targets, let's look at the savings landscape. First, some good news. The IRS, in a moment of what seems like generosity, keeps raising the 401k contribution limits. So for this year, you can put in $23,500 of your own money. If you're 50 or older, you get to add an additional $7,500 in what's called a catch-up contribution. And here's the cool new one. If you're between 60 and 63, you get to do super catch-ups of $11,250. And get this, the total amount that can go into your plan between you and your employer is an incredible $70,000 a year. Now, before you get upset and start sending me nasty grams in the comments below, I understand that most of you are not going to put in that kind of money. That's okay. I'm just giving you the set of options that you have. That number should make your ears perk up though, $70,000. That's how high earners can seriously accelerate their savings, especially if their plan allows for after-tax contributions and a strategy we call the mega backdoor Roth. More on this in a moment. That's the good news. Now for the reality check. Vanguard's latest How America Saves report gives us the really hard truth. The average 401k balance is about $134,000. That sounds okay, right? But the median balance is $35,000. What does that mean? That means if you lined up every 401k participant in America, from the largest balance all the way down to the smallest, and you pick the person right in the middle of that lineup, they have $35,000. You see, the average gets pulled up by a small number of people with really massive balances. It's like putting Elon Musk in a room with 10 teachers and saying, well, the average person in the room is a billionaire. It absolutely makes zero sense. The point is, most people are behind, but you're not most people. You're watching a 15-minute YouTube video about 401k contribution limits. You're already ahead of the curve. Here's my last point here. Morningstar, a big brainy research firm, recently updated its safe withdrawal rate. This is how much you can take out of your portfolio and be pretty certain that you're not going to run out of money. The old rule, 4%. The new, more conservative number for a 30-year retirement, 3.7%. If you're retiring early and need your money to last 35 to 40 years, being conservative here is just plain smart. For demonstration's sake, we'll use that number in our math below. A few disclaimers first. These are not commandments that are etched in stone delivered by Moses. They're signposts to let you know if you're roughly on track. But they assume a couple of things. One, you want to retire somewhere between 55 and 60. You'll need about 50 to 60% of your pre-retirement income from your portfolio. The rest will come from Social Security, maybe a pension, maybe even part-time work. But we're going to use that conservative 3.7% to 4% withdrawal rate. This is your 401k only as a multiple of your current gross income. You'll likely have other accounts, which is great, and I hope that you do have them. So by age 30, you need to be aiming for 1 times your annual income. You're just building the foundation of a retirement plan. By 35, you should have 2 times your income. The compounding train is starting to pick up as your portfolio balance increases. Age 40, this is where it gets serious. You want 3 times your income. If you're behind at this juncture, it's time to get focused on saving. By age 45, we're aiming for 4 times your income. You should be a savings machine at this point, and everything should be fully automated. By age 50, now you're in the red zone. You're getting pretty close. Your target is 5 to 6 times your income. This is where catch-up contributions become your best friend. Age 55, you're at the finish line. You're super close. You need 7 to 8 times your income saved in your 401k. But by age 60, if you work a little longer, we're looking for 10 to 12 times your income. Just a few more years of compounding and a big number makes a huge difference in your total account balance. A good question to ask at this point is, why is there the huge jump in savings at age 50? Because you're at your max earnings power at this point, but you have less time on your side. You're just basically brute force saving. You don't have time to rely on compounding. You need to use every single tool you have at your disposal. But these numbers are just one piece of the retirement puzzle. If you'd like help figuring out how to fund your retirement, click the link in the description to book a discovery call where we can dive into your plan and optimize everything from your investments all the way down to your taxes. Now let me give you that mental math trick I promised to figure out a rough estimate of your retirement number. Step 1, pick the annual income you want from your investments to generate in retirement. Let's just say it's $100,000. Step 2, let's do some Arkansas math. Now, if you're from Arkansas, please don't send me hate mail. Take that number and multiply it by 27. So $100,000 times 27, 2.7 million. Now the reality check. That 2.7 million is your total investable assets. Your 401k is just a piece of that. Compare the big number to your age multiple to see if your 401k is doing its fair share of lifting. But the real question is, how on earth do people get to these huge numbers? It is not magic. There's a 3-step playbook. Step 1, this is the no-brainer. Max out your pre-tax or your Roth 401k deferral. That's $23,500 plus your catch-up if you're over 50. This is absolutely non-negotiable if you want to reach this high number. Step 2, take the free money. Get your full employer match. If your employer offers a 5% match and you're just putting in 3, you're basically taking $100 bills and lighting them on fire. Don't do that. Get the full match. Step 3, here's the real superpower. This is where the game changes. If your plan allows it, you need to use the mega backdoor Roth strategy. Even though this is an incredible strategy, I'm still not sure how I feel about this name. It feels a bit like a low IQ AI model came up with it. At any rate, here's how the simple version of how it works. After you've maxed out your regular contributions, your plan might allow you to make contributions on an after-tax basis, up to that $70,000 mark. You then immediately convert that after-tax money into a Roth account, either Roth 401k or a Roth IRA. And just like that, you've just funded thousands of extra dollars into a bucket that will grow 100% tax-free forever. For the high earner, this is the single most powerful tool that you can use to accelerate your retirement savings. And let's not forget your health savings account. The HSA is the superhero of retirement accounts. Tax-deductible contributions, tax-free growth, and tax-free withdrawals for healthcare costs. It offers a triple tax advantage, but just make sure that you actually qualify to contribute to one. Now that we've got your savings dialed in, how should you invest your money? First, please, I beg you, throw the 100 minus your age rule in the garbage. It is simply too simplistic. For those of you who don't know this rule, it's good for you, you don't know it. But if you don't know it, what it means is you take your age, you subtract it from 100, and that's the amount that you should have invested in stocks. It's complete nonsense. Instead, you need to be thinking in buckets. The now bucket. This holds 6 to 12 months of your planned retirement expenses in ultra-safe stuff like cash, money markets, or even short-term bonds. This is the money that you were going to spend first. Your soon bucket, this holds another 3 to 5 years of expenses in things like intermediate-term bonds. It's a bit more growth-oriented, but it's still pretty stable. And then there's the later bucket. All of the rest of your money goes here. This is your growth engine, stocks, real estate, private equity, all of those things. This is money that you are not going to have to touch for at least a decade. So why do this? Because it lets you sleep at night. If the market crashes the year after you retire, who cares? You have your now bucket and your soon bucket. You aren't forced to sell stocks at the worst possible time just so you can simply pay for groceries. But here is the multi-million-dollar question. How do you get access to that money in your 401k before 59 and a half without a penalty? You have two paths. First, and the most powerful, is the rule of 55. It's simple. If you leave or lose your job in or after the calendar year you turn 55, you can take penalty-free withdrawals from that specific company's 401k. The key is you can't roll it over into an IRA first, or you lose the privilege, and it does not apply to previous employers' plans, just your current one. The second is the 72T program. This is the IRS's strict, formal way of letting you take withdrawals from your IRA without penalty. You have to take substantially equal periodic payments for at least 5 years or until you turn 59 and a half, whichever's longer. But be warned, this is kind of like making a deal with the devil. You must follow these rules exactly, or the IRS will penalize you retroactively. You'll get charged 10% penalties on all the withdrawals you've taken from when you started the plan, and you'll get dinged with interest. Please, 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 if you decide to do this one, be very careful. But the real art in all of this is using them in the right order. Maybe you use cash first, then your taxable account. Then maybe you'll use the rule of 55. All while strategically converting some of that pre-tax money to Roth so you can manage your long-term tax bill. But before we wrap up, let's talk about some potential landmines that you should miss. There's 4 of them. Number 1, ignoring healthcare costs. Health insurance before Medicare at 65 is ridiculously expensive. Budget for it like it's a second mortgage because depending on your situation, it might be that expensive. Number 2, rolling over your 401k too soon. If you're planning to use the rule of 55, do not roll that 401k over into an IRA. If you do, the rule of 55 is out. Retirement euphoria, spending too much money. It's easy to get excited, buy a boat, an RV, or maybe a vacation home. Do not blow a 30-year budget plan in your first 3 years. Stick strictly to your budget in the beginning. 4, the pre-tax trap. Having all your money in that pre-tax 401k is a tax time bomb. Every dollar you pull out is going to be taxed as ordinary income. You need a mix of pre-tax, Roth, and taxable accounts to give you flexibility and the ability to manage your tax bill. Look, if you're serious about retiring in your 50s or your early 60s, it is absolutely possible for you to do it. Your 401k is the heavy lifting vehicle to get you there, but you have to use every feature that it has. High limits, high catch-ups, the mega backdoor Roth, and you have to be just as smart about getting the money out as you were about putting it in. If all of this talk of tax time bombs and mega backdoor Roths sounds like a lot, well, that's because it is. This is complex stuff, and the stakes are actually really high. If you want help calculating your exact retirement number and designing a withdrawal strategy that blends the rule of 55 with some smart Roth conversions and a tax-efficient plan, that's something that we can do. There's a link in the description to book a complimentary discovery call. We'll build a custom plan and show you the most efficient path to your version of retirement, because I believe that uncertainty has no place in your plan. And with that, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.